Most people kill their aloe vera trying to multiply it. They cut a leaf, stick it in soil, water it every day, and then watch it slowly rot from the bottom up. They blame the plant. They blame the soil. They blame the weather. But the truth is, nobody told them the one thing that changes everything. And that one thing is so simple, so completely overlooked, that once you hear it, you will never look at your aloe vera the same way again. Aloe vera is one of the most forgiving plants on this planet. It survives drought. It survives neglect. It survives bad soil and harsh sun and freezing nights. But there is one thing it absolutely cannot survive, and that is the wrong propagation method. Because here is what most gardening channels and most gardening blogs will never tell you. Aloe vera leaves do not propagate. Not naturally, not easily, not the way most people try. Tea leaf has no node. It has no root initiation point. It is essentially a sealed unit of gel and skin with no pathway to grow roots on its own. So every person who cuts a fat, juicy leaf and buries it in a pot is setting themselves up for failure from the very first second. But then, how do you multiply aloe vera? How do nurseries do it? How do experienced growers end up with dozens of plants from a single mother plant within one season? The answer is sitting right there in your pot, right at the base of your plant, quietly waiting for you to notice it. It is called a pup. And the way you handle that pup, the way you separate it, treat it, and plant it, that is where the real hack begins. Aloe vera is a naturally social plant. It does not want to live alone. And left on its own, a healthy mother plant will begin producing offshoots, small baby plants that emerge from the root system and push up through the soil right next to the base of the main plant. These pups share the root network of the mother. They are already alive. They are already connected to a system that is feeding them. And this is your starting point. This is your propagation goldmine. Now here is where most people make their second mistake. They see the pup, they get excited, they grab it and yank it out, and just like that, they tear the root connection, damage the base of the pup, and leave it with no way to establish itself in a new pot. The pup goes into shock, the cut edge rots, and the whole thing dies within 2 weeks. The gardener gives up and thinks propagation is hard. It is not hard. It just requires one specific step that nobody talks about. Before you touch the pup, before you even pick up a tool, you wait. This is the most underrated part of the entire process. You wait until the pup is at least 3 to 4 inches tall. You wait until it has developed its own distinct set of leaves. Not just 1 or 2 thin little spikes, but a proper rosette shape that tells you the plant has started building its own identity. A pup that's small and underdeveloped does not yet have enough of its own root mass to survive separation. But a pup that has reached that 3 to 4 inch mark that has started forming its own leaf structure, that pup is ready. And when it is ready, the whole process becomes almost effortless. Now you take a clean, sharp knife. Not scissors, not your hands. A knife. Sharp enough to make a single clean cut without sawing or pulling. You go into the soil right at the base of the pup, following its stem down to where it connects to the mother root. And you cut it there, right at the connection point. Clean, one motion, no hesitation. If the pup comes out with a little bit of root attached to it, even just a few small threads of root, you are in an excellent position. If it comes out with no root at all, do not panic. That is still workable. But the goal is always to preserve whatever root structure the pup has already started developing on its own. Here's where the hack really lives. Here's the part that separates a dead pup from a thriving new plant. After you remove that pup from the mother plant, you do not plant it immediately. You do not water it. You do not put it in shade. You place it somewhere dry and open, on a table, on a shelf, on a piece of newspaper, somewhere with good air, circulation, and you leave it alone for 48 to 72 hours. This is called the callousing period. The cut end of the pup needs to dry out and form a protective callus over the wound. Without that callus, the moment you put it in soil and introduce any moisture, that open wound becomes an entry point for bacteria and rot. With that callus, the cut end becomes sealed, hardened, ready to push out new roots when it senses moisture from below. This one step, this single waiting period of 2 to 3 days, is the difference between a pup that roots successfully and a pup that rots within a week. And almost nobody tells beginners about it. They say cut and plant, cut and water, cut and put it in shade. But they skip the part where the plant needs to heal itself before it can grow. After the callousing period, you look at the cut end of your pup. You will notice it has changed. The color has deepened slightly. The surface feels dry and slightly firm compared to the rest of the stem. That is your signal. That is aloe vera telling you it is ready. Now comes the soil. And this matters more than most people realize. Aloe vera is a succulent. It stores water in its leaves. Its roots are designed to handle dry conditions, to drink quickly when water is available, and then dry out completely between waterings. If you put your freshly separated pup into regular potting soil into something rich and moisture retaining, you are creating the exact environment that will kill it. The soil stays wet too long. The delicate new roots that are just starting to form cannot breathe. They drown, they rot, the pup collapses. What you want is a fast draining mix. The simplest version is 50% regular potting soil and 50% coarse sand or perlite. Mix it thoroughly. Make sure there are no clumps. Fill your pot, which should have a drainage hole at the bottom, always a drainage hole, and make a small hole in the center just deep enough to hold the pup upright. Place the calloused end into that hole and gently firm the soil around the base, just enough to keep the plant stable. You're not burying it deep. You're just anchoring it. Do not water it yet. This is the third place where people go wrong. They think the plant needs water to start growing. It does not. Not immediately. The pup still has moisture stored in its leaves from its time connected to the mother plant. What it needs right now is warmth and indirect light and the slight stress of dry soil to trigger its survival instinct and push it to grow roots downward in search of moisture. Leave it dry for the first 5 to 7 days. Put it somewhere bright, but not indirect harsh sunlight. A windowsill that gets morning light is perfect. A spot under a grow light works beautifully, but direct afternoon. Sun on a freshly separated pup with no established root system is too aggressive. It will dry the leaves faster than the plant can manage. After 5 to 7 days, give it a small, careful watering. Not a flood, not a thorough soaking, just enough to moisten the top inch or two of soil. Then let it dry out again, completely before you water again. You're training the roots to reach downward. You are teaching the plant that moisture comes from below, not from the surface. Every time the soil dries out and the pup experiences that mild stress, its root system expands a little, further in search of water. Within 3 to 4 weeks, if you have followed this process, you will have a pup with a fully established root system, standing upright and firm in its new pot, no longer dependent on the mother plant for anything. There is one more layer to this hack that takes the whole process from good to exceptional, and it involves something most people throw away without thinking. Before you plant your calloused pup, take a small amount of cinnamon powder, actual kitchen cinnamon, and dust it lightly over the calloused end of the pup. Cinnamon is a natural antifungal. It creates a protective barrier around the cut surface that prevents any fungal growth from taking hold in the soil around the base of the new plant. It costs nothing. It takes 5 seconds, and it dramatically increases your success rate, especially in humid climates or during rainy seasons when fungal pressure in the soil is naturally higher. If you want to take it one step further, you can also make a simple rooting solution using willow water. Willow branches contain a natural compound called indole-butyric acid, which is actually the same active ingredient used in commercial rooting hormones. You simply cut a few young willow branches, strip the leaves, chop the branches into small pieces, and soak them in water for 24 hours. The water turns slightly yellow. That is your willow rooting solution. Dip the calloused end of your pup into this solution for a few seconds before planting, and you give it a natural hormonal signal to begin root production immediately. It is free, it is completely natural, and it works. Now step back and look at what you have done. You started with one aloe vera plant sitting in a pot, maybe one you have had for years, maybe one that never felt like it was doing much, and you have turned it into multiple plants. Each pup you separate correctly, each one you callus and plant and give time to establish, becomes a full mother plant within one growing season. And that mother plant will produce its own pups, and those pups will produce more. Within 2 years of understanding this one process, you can go from one aloe vera plant to 50 without spending a single rupee on new plants. This is why experienced growers never buy aloe vera. They understand the cycle. They understand that the plant is already trying to multiply itself. It is already pushing out pups and reaching outward and expanding its family. Your only job is to work with that natural process instead of against it. Stop cutting leaves and expecting miracles. Stop planting fresh cuttings in wet soil and wondering why they rot. Start watching the base of your plant. Start letting pups develop properly before you touch them. Start respecting the callousing window. Start choosing the right soil. Because the moment you align yourself with how aloe vera actually wants to grow, the moment you stop fighting the plant and start cooperating with it, everything changes. The failures stop. The rotting stops. The frustration stops. And in its place, you get a shelf full of healthy, thriving aloe vera plants that cost you nothing, require almost no effort to maintain, and give you an endless supply of one of the most useful plants you can grow at home. That is not luck. That is not a green thumb. That is just knowing the hack.